Gaming journalism has been on the decline for many years now, as evidenced by this article that was published all the way back in 2014 with this headline: Gaming journalism is over. The gaming press declares that gamers are dead, but they are the ones who are becoming obsolete. And I think a large reason why this is the case is because gaming journalists are neither journalists nor gamers. Essentially, they're activists trying to hijack a popular medium and push it in a direction that they personally would want, even if gamers themselves don't want it. Because for the longest time, many AAA game studios have been paying attention to what the gaming press has been saying and thinking when gaming press says, oh, we want more representation in games. And these AAA studios look at that, it's like, I guess we need to have more DEI and representation and other stuff like that. Then when they produce games like that, the actual gamers take a look at this and be like, yeah, we don't want this. We don't like it. We saw that quite a bit these last few years. And as a result, many even major AAA studios with popular franchises have lost hundreds of millions of dollars. Some studios have been shutting down, getting bought out. Thousands of people have been losing their jobs. And now many of these game studios are starting to realize, like, wait, these game journalists really don't know what they're talking about. Maybe we should actually be listening to the paying customer on this one. And they're trying to change course. Some of them, not so much, but other ones I think are starting to actually listen to gamers. And because a lot of these journalists out there, or the people who claim to be journalists, if they truly were gamers, they'd be doing what's best for the actual game itself and what the paying customer would want, instead of advocating for things like what we saw with this article from Polygon. Death Stranding 2 is way more enjoyable if you skip all the boss fights. Pretend you won? Yes, I think I will. Now, this has been kind of a joke amongst gamers for many years now when you hear about people advocating for, like, oh, make an easier mode or make it where you can skip certain sections and other things like that. People just kind of refer to it as game journalism mode because it's like, oh, they're not good enough to play video games. They're not real gamers. They just want to get through the game in order to write the review. And for the most part, yeah, that's kind of what it is. Now, to an extent, I'm a little bit sympathetic because I can understand as their job, it's like they have deadlines where it's like they might not be able to devote enough time to get through a certain thing. So they're like, okay, I have so long before I have to complete this game before I write my review on it. So I can't just be spending all my time being stuck on a single boss fight. So if I just need to get past it to get through with my job, then okay, that's just a part of it right there. But if I was a journalist and I was forced to do that in order to write my review, I would actually, I think it would be better just to have your review come out a little bit later. But I mean, I get it. They have bosses that they have to answer to. So if you can't do that, one thing I wouldn't be doing is advocating, you know what? It's actually good if you can just skip playing the game in order to, if you actually enjoyed the game, then you wouldn't want to skip having to play it. The pretend you won option in Death Stranding 2 on the beach is a small but radical little choice. It pops after you fail a boss fight and lets you skip the encounter entirely with a brief text explainer telling you how things would have unfolded if you won. Now, how much longer until it gets to the point? Because if they're happy with just a brief text explainer telling them what happens, why not just read a synopsis of the game and then just write your review according to that? Or maybe you could just watch someone else play the game instead. Like if the writer at the game outlet or the media outlet isn't able to actually complete the game, maybe just hire someone who their job is to actually play the game, and then you can just write the review based on that. Or better yet, instead of hiring two people, one to play the game, one to write the game, you just hire someone who plays the game and can actually get through the game, and then they can write their article afterwards. It's like, wow, what a novel idea. But that's probably what they should be doing, which is basically just a roundabout way of saying, like, if you can't actually play video games, then why are you a game journalist writing about video games? You should probably be doing something else, especially when you're basically advocating for not actually playing the game. And that's the best way to, because if someone was to say, like, the best thing about this game is that you can skip playing sections of the game, then that's not a ringing endorsement of it. I'm just saying, like, oh, wow, if the game is good, but all the boss fights suck and you're better off just skipping them. It's like, well, then why would I want to play that game if, like, big important parts of the game that you can just skip? And how much longer until it just gets to the point where game journalists don't even play the game entirely? It's like, there's just going to be a journalist option or a journalist difficulty for these where it's like, it just plays itself. And it's like, okay, you just, everything goes on autopilot. You can watch it, but everything, all the combat and everything is just kind of unfold on autopilot, and you just watched accordingly. Maybe you can toggle it on and off so they can play the game, and then they get to a certain difficulty or a certain difficult area, they just switch that on and everything just goes autopilot. The computer takes over, but it takes over to the point where it's going to get through, and then you can turn it off again and then go back to playing it. And I don't know why I'm saying this. I'm probably giving some people ideas. So if that actually happens in the future, if there's someone who sees this video and implements that, well, I'm sorry if that's the case. You might get a lower ranking or miss one of the 2 non-essential scenes for choosing this option, but there's no judgment, no restrictions, no downside to bypassing something frustrating and choosing to engage with parts of the game you really like. It's a brilliant, elegantly simple design choice, and I would be far less keen to keep playing Death Stranding 2 without it. Like I said, I mean, if the best part about this game is that you can skip sections of the game, that should be included in a review for it. It's not an endorsement of it. And it just kind of comes back to, if you're playing a game and you want to find ways to actually avoid playing the game, because imagine if it was like this, where there's a section of the game where it's like a fetch quest where you have to do something and you're like, okay, every time you give it a mission, you can just click the skip mission option. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, that's great. It's like it just completes it for you. It's like, well, then you're missing the experience of having played the game. Because if it gets to a point where it's like, oh, you're just keeps doing these tedious fetch quests or whatever, it's like that would be a point against the game if you find that stuff boring. But if you're missing all that stuff or ignoring all that stuff and then saying like, yeah, the game's actually really good because you're not playing it as the way the game was initially designed, well, then that's not a good point of the game. And that's something that the actual public should know about, which is why I'm saying a lot of game journalists are becoming obsolete, because people just don't trust them anymore. They trust what they can personally see from streamers streaming the game, or from other gamers out there who are giving their honest feedback free of all this other clutter out there. Because unlike the journalists, they can take their time with it and actually give you an honest feedback of how the game is, as opposed to like giving them an honest feedback under certain constraints. I'm not saying this as someone who hates boss fights in video games or who usually struggles with them either, tries to just talk about like, oh yeah, I played Elden Ring and other stuff like that, so I'm good at video games. It's like, yeah, okay, fine, maybe you can play certain ones, but that to me, that doesn't give you credit. I mean, especially if you're now advocating for being able to skip boss fights is a good part of playing a certain video game. I like Death Stranding 2's bosses as well. On a conceptual level, their evocative encounters made all the more impressive by how Kojima Productions turned mechanically straightforward moments into memorable set pieces. They are basic, though. If you strip away the emotive music, the sound effects, and the unusual influences some of these enemies have over the environment, you're left with the equivalent of a standard boss fight from any mid-2000s 3D game. A small arena is home to a big boss with maybe 3 attacks, and you attack it, run away, and repeat. That's it. So if that's what you feel about it, then that's what you should actually say in a review. And that's actually, to me, that sounds like a point against the game, because like, yeah, the boss fights are just kind of generic and boring. It's like, okay, then that's what you should be claiming, instead of just saying like, yeah, it's fine if you skip it, or like if you were just to avoid saying that entirely and basically claiming like, yeah, the game's good and I didn't have a problem with the boss fights. Like, yes, because you didn't have a problem with the boss fights because you were just able to skip them and avoided them entirely, and you missed the experience that the game was designed for. And this isn't me basically just saying like, oh, you're bad for playing it however you wanted to play, because I have no problem with people playing games how they want to play video games. Me personally, I'm a normal type player. I don't consider myself any good. I just try to play at the normal difficulty because I consider that the way that the game developers initially designed the game to be played at. If you want to have it easier time playing it, if you're more casual, then yes, have a reduced difficulty. If you're someone who likes more of a challenge, and play it at a harder difficulty. I don't think that games should have to accommodate to me. Like, I've played some of the From Software games and I have a difficult time with them. I'm fully willing to admit that sort of thing, but it is very satisfying when you can actually beat bosses in those after spending a long time just throwing yourself at it until eventually you overcome it. There is a gratification to be had with that, and I can understand why people love those type of games. I personally just don't have the time for it right now because I have so much stuff going on in my life, and I think that's fine, and I'm all the power to people who actually are able to play those type of games. But like I said, I play games on a normal difficulty because when they designed the game and when they built it, they say this is what they had in mind. So if I have issues with how it was, the game is playing at the way it was intended for it to be played, well, then if I was someone who was trying to give an honest review of it, that would be included in my review. But if I have to knock down the difficulty, or if I play it on an easier difficulty because I'm trying to get through it, and then in my review I'm saying like, oh, the game is too easy, it's like, yeah, it's too easy because I'm playing it on an easier difficulty than what the designers intended for it. Same way if I actually play it on a harder difficulty and I'm complaining that like, oh, I can't get through these bosses, or the bosses are too difficult, or it has a steep learning curve to it. It's like, well, maybe so, but that's because I'm playing it in a way that the game wasn't intended to be played at. So if your job is to try to give an honest feedback and an honest review of video games, these game journalists aren't doing a good job if they're having to do these other things in order to get through playing the game. That's why it really is, if you can put aside all their messaging that they're trying to push and steer the direction of the video game industry, if you ignore all that, it really just comes down to game journalists aren't actually gamers, because as I said at the start, they wouldn't be doing this sort of thing or advocating for these sort of things. And if actual gamers have more options available to them nowadays, if they're trying to look for honest feedback on the quality of a game, you can look to other people on Twitch and YouTube and other streaming services. You can watch them play through it and you can judge for yourself. You can watch or listen to other people make their reviews. Many people have their own blogs and other sites like that where you can read what other gamers have to say about it. You don't necessarily need to be the first out the door, like as the game is released or before the game is released, seeing the feedback. Many are willing to actually wait a little bit and hear feedback from actual consumers, people who spent their own money playing a video game, instead of someone who had a copy given to them and they just kind of got through it. You don't know whether they actually personally played it, whether or not they just skipped large sections of it, or they just ignored it entirely and just made up the review based off of the cover art or anything like that. And it's because of stuff like this and what they're willing to admit to is why people are not trusting game journalists. So the question is, what are they not admitting to? Because to me, that must be a lot worse than what we're actually hearing right now. But let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. And also, if you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button if you want to stay up to date with the latest entertainment news. And don't forget to click that like button and share this video out there because it really helps out with the channel. Thank you.